They act like they're fine, but the quiet keeps dragging your name back, and you feel it too. An invisible pull that refuses to loosen. This morning carried a different weight. A holy stillness that felt like a promise finally ripening. Before your eyes opened, your spirit knew. The waiting room is clearing, and what lingered in delay is shifting into motion. The fog of absence is thinning. Not because you forced it, but because heaven has decided the season has changed. If this resonates with your spirit, share it with someone who needs hope today. For so long you carried the silence like a question mark pressed against your heart, wondering if your intuition was a kindness or a cruel trick. You asked the night sky if you were foolish for believing in a bond you could not touch, only feel. Yet your prayers were never empty echoes. They were blueprints drawn in the unseen. What felt like rejection was actually preparation, and what felt like waiting was divine alignment quietly taking shape. Comment below with a word that describes what this season has taught you. The resistance he built, walls of logic, fear, and distraction, has begun to crack under the weight of truth. He thought he could outrun the connection, bury your essence beneath routines and noise, but spiritual laws cannot be silenced by stubbornness. In his quiet moments, your energy rises like a song he cannot mute, and his soul now overrules the ego that once led him astray. Subscribe if you want more messages that speak to the soul's journey. He is learning that the distance he enforced was never protection, but a prison of his own making. The silence he clung to is now loud with realization, and the scales are tipping. You stood in the void when there was no evidence, trusting a whisper instead of proof, and now you are nearing the harvest of that faith. The universe is dismantling fear one layer at a time. Share this with someone who has been faithful in the unseen. The waiting was never denial. It was divine formatting for a love meant to last. To the world he appeared stable, untouched, convincing even himself at times. But behind closed doors, pride and truth waged war, and the quiet became his undoing. He is exhausted from pretending you don't matter, drained from pushing memories back down that insist on floating to the surface. Comment if you've ever felt unseen yet deeply known at the same time. Every place he goes still carries your energetic fingerprint, a presence that defies logic but speaks clearly to his spirit. Streets pulse with remembered conversations. Songs shift the air with echoes of being truly seen. Others feel like dim candles compared to the sun he once walked away from, and he is beginning to understand he didn't leave a person. He left home. Subscribe to stay connected to messages of healing and reunion. You may feel sudden waves of longing that don't seem to belong to you. And that's because the cord between you still vibrates. He cannot escape the echo because it rises from within his own soul. He searches for you in crowds before his mind can stop him, learning that miles mean nothing to a bond written beyond time. Share this if you believe love leaves an imprint that distance can't erase. A profound dismantling of ego is underway. A divine surgery on the heart's hardness. The stories he told himself, about timing, freedom, incompatibility, are dissolving under the weight of truth. He sees now that he let go of a rare diamond while collecting stones, and the silence he once craved is now screaming for restoration. Comment if you've seen truth rise when illusions fall away. There is a tipping point where the pain of staying the same outweighs the fear of changing, and he has arrived there. Sleepless nights have become mirrors of regret, and bargaining with the universe has given way to surrender. Heaven waited for this exact moment, knowing that returning too soon would only repeat the fracture. Subscribe if you trust divine timing even when it hurts. The pull toward you has intensified into a magnetic command his soul can no longer resist. He is rehearsing words that go deeper than excuses, knowing hello is not enough and crumbs will not do. You may feel a sudden calm or expectation. That is the decision forming in the spiritual realm before it manifests in the physical. Share this with someone sensing a shift they can't yet explain. Looking back now, he sees your reactions not as demands, but as the language of a heart brave enough to love fully. Remorse has replaced defensiveness, and repentance is doing its quiet, necessary work. He wishes he could hold the version of you he hurt and tell her she was right all along. Comment if growth has come through honest reflection for you. He knows returning is not enough. He must return with understanding and action. The past is a stone he can only lay down with a sincere apology and changed behavior. Healing requires a future that honors what was once taken for granted, and he is finally willing to do that work. Subscribe for more reflections on forgiveness and restoration. The fear that once made him run has shattered under the weight of loneliness. Life without your light revealed a man who was safe but spiritually starving. Now he is ready to be weak, to admit he needs you, understanding that hearts often must break open before they can truly open. Share this if vulnerability has become your strength. From heaven's view, the detour was never a mistake but a necessary wilderness. He needed distractions stripped away to hear guidance, needed failure elsewhere to recognize where joy truly lived. You were the destination all along, and the breadcrumbs of memory and synchronicity were leading him home. Comment if you believe nothing in love is wasted. He is not the same man who left. He returns with humility, patience, and a compass that points true. Your endurance was worship, your patience a prayer, and now the path is illuminated without shadows. What was delayed was never denied. It was divinely timed for wholeness. Subscribe if you're ready for the next season of your journey. This reunion is not a replay of the past, but a meeting of two transformed souls. The angels are weaving your lives back together with gold, celebrating a love sustained by God's breath. Open your hands, release the last fear, and trust that the quiet did its work. It brought him home, and the song of your shared life is just beginning. Share this as a declaration that love, guided by faith, always finds its way back.